What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for tuning back into another video. I'm in the garage right now. Me and Sergio are about to dive into our activities for tonight, if you will. So basically, we're going to be taking off the transmission on the CRX. You guys have seen us do that quite a couple times already, so I'm not going to do too much of a video on that specific portion. But the reason that we're taking it off is because, and I will show you right now, we are installing some gears that if you guys have been on the channel for a while, then you saw us receive this a couple months ago. We got this from Liberty Gears themselves. So this is a face-plated first and second gear. If you're familiar with all-wheel drive B-Series specific components, you already know that, especially in our build, first to second gear shift always has a big problem. The reason being, like, the underlying problem is the synchronizer mechanism, if that's the correct way of saying it. I don't know. Alfonso's laughing at me in the back. But something with the synchros is pretty bad from the factory, or the ratio, some crap like that. And it puts so much stress on the shift fork that it actually bends the shift fork, and you can't slam gears. You guys have seen me struggle with that in the track in the past, on the street having fun. And this right here is what's really going to help us out, or it should at least. So what we're going to be doing, dropping the transmission, installing these face-plated gears, hopefully rebending straight the shift fork. Benjamin, if you're watching this, you told me to do this. Listen, I wanted to buy a new fork. We got this little, I think it's carpenter's level or whatever, just to make sure that we have it 100% straight. And I don't say right now, oh, you should have just bought a new one. I called like 13 dealerships all across the USA. Nobody has it. Not 13. 3 dealerships across different parts of the USA. Nobody has it. You can only get it from the manufacturer in Japan right now, a brand new shift fork for this specific B-Series all-wheel drive transmission. And even from the manufacturer, there's 3 on back order right now, and the last person has been waiting a couple months. Maybe I'm calling the wrong people. I don't know, but from what I've done research, you can't get a new one. Without further ado, we're going to dive right into this. Like I said, I'm not going to show too much of taking the transmission off, but once we have it off, then I'll actually show you taking everything apart. Alrighty, we're about to pull the trans. Just got everything off of it. What did it take, like an hour? Yeah. 45 minutes, an hour, something like that? Too much. Let's see if I can fish it out right there. Alright, lower. Lower, 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 lower. There's no washer. Huh? Yeah, if you want. It don't matter. Alright, so we got the trans off. And now I'm just going to set it on a couple 2x4s on its face right there so the shaft doesn't hit the ground. And we can actually start taking it apart. It's a neutral. We already checked earlier. It might not be a neutral. I might have forgotten. Let's go ahead and try this out. All right, so we had a little bit of an issue taking it apart, and I feel so stupid because I mention this all the time. All-wheel drive B-Series transmission. On the inside of the case, there is a 12mm M8x125 bolt. That's on the inside, and it will prevent you from opening the case. Don't forget that bolt. I always stress it, and I forgot it myself. Don't forget that bolt. Anyways, we have the main shaft still in there. Counter shaft I have over right here. We're getting ready to put this stuff in. This first, second gear, face plated. I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier. I'm not good with transmissions, so I'm not going to walk you through this. There are a couple manuals you can find online that will tell you exactly how to do this, or just take it to a transmission guy. This isn't going to be too difficult because it is a counter shaft, and you don't have to mess with too many synchros before it. So basically, the only synchros on this shaft is from the first to second gear, and then obviously you have your reverse right there. But the hard one is the main shaft. Not to say that this one's easy, but basically we have to take off this big nut on the top, pause, and then you have to remove those gears right there. They say to use a gear puller. We have the press, and last time we just knocked it off with a mallet, so we don't think we're gonna need that anyway. But we're gonna start going into this, and if we mess up, then you know we mess up. buy another $700 trans, right? Yeah, we're gonna start on that. I'm just gonna put it on time lapse again, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Alrighty, so we have the shaft already put back together with the dog first and second, basically face plated, excuse me.
My ugly legs out on the video.
So first and second gear is in. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but oh, there you go, actually. First, second, slides perfectly, and then we have it torqued down to the torque specification. You can check out the manual for the torque specification because we totally didn't impact it on because that would be wrong. Yeah, so we got that placed back on. We're cleaning up the surfaces right now. I'm gonna check with this with the straight edge to see. I think this is already pretty bent. I'm gonna check to see it perfectly though. I don't know if you can see on camera. I feel like the left one is a little bit higher, the left ear. And if it is, I might try to bend it back into place, probably add a little support to it. But if we can't figure it out, then the dog should be able to take care of it. So we're pretty happy with that. And yeah, we're gonna clean it up right now and start putting it back together. This is the help that I deal with. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Trans is back together. Just got to put the top plug in and should be ready to go back in. Almost there. Alrighty, so it's just past 3 o'clock right now. The transmission is in. Everything went in smoothly. It was so much easier having 2 hands to put it in. What did it take, like 2 minutes to put the trans up? 2 minutes to put the trans up and then like 1.5 minutes to line them out. And then the T-bracket we did like 5 minutes. But when I'm by myself doing this, it takes like an hour or 2. It's so tight on EFs or CRXs, so it always takes a little bit extra. But yeah, we're going to go inside and take a nap for a little bit and continue in the morning. There's not much really left to do besides putting the drive shaft with the viscous coupler, which actually takes some time, and actually getting my axles back in, which God knows where they are. We haven't used them in a couple weeks for the front. And yeah, we're going all-wheel drive again at the moment, and then for Cletus and cars, we'll probably end up going rear-wheel drive again. But for now, definitely want to do some all-wheel drive stuff. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to cut the video right here and continue in the morning. And hopefully I'll see you in just a sec. While I'm down here converting it back to all-wheel drive, just wanted to show you guys a little gem. Everybody's asking me, how did I make the drive shaft work using the same exact mounts for the all-wheel drive shaft and the rear-wheel drive shaft? Let me tell you. So I contacted this company to make billet spacers. They go by the name Stanley. And that's definitely not a socket that I have in its place. Alright, it might be a socket or 2. Alrighty, so I have the all-wheel drive shaft back in with the viscous coupler, and then I have the straight one with the center joint out already. Now I'm just topping off fluids. I obviously have the axles back in and the half shaft as well. Well, of course, I mean, if not, I wouldn't be filling the trans. But yeah, transfer case is all bolted up. Everything's all tightened down. Everything's torqued to spec. And by specs, I mean ugga-duggas. And yeah, while we're on the subject of giving out gems, I get tons of questions. How did you all-wheel drive, then rear-wheel drive your car? Very simple. First, you need an all-wheel drive running car. Better if it already has either a pin differential or a wagon differential. That meaning that the diff in the back is always engaged, not clutch disengaged and engaged. Second, instead of using a drive shaft with a viscous coupler like I have right now, you use a straight drive shaft or a drive shaft that's always at the same velocity from the front to the back. This being the case, a CRV drive shaft. It has the U-joint in the center, or the center joint, but it's always engaged. Next, remove your axles on the front hand side in the front of the car. On the driver's side, I kept the half shaft just so no fluid came out. On the passenger side, I had a spare inner cup. Make sure it's the right length for your transmission and has the C-clip to click into place inside of the diff and not be knocking around or risk of falling out. Then the most important thing for all-wheel drive or Hondas going rear-wheel drive, you need this right here. This is a dummy axle. You can make this, you can buy this from Drive Shaft Shop if I'm not mistaken. I made it, just an old axle with the splines for your hub, cut off the end of it, bolted on as if it were a floating axle or something. Honda hubs do not stay in by themselves. It's pressed in with a C-clip in the back, but if you don't have an axle or a dummy axle in it, the hub will actually fall off the car. Very important. This is how you keep the front from falling off. Dummy axles. Besides that, have an all-wheel drive car, throw those components on, and have some fun rear-wheel drive. Gems right there. Send it to somebody who's trying to figure it out. That's how you do it. We just went all-wheel drive again. Gonna have some fun with that. We'll go rear-wheel drive again in a couple months. But let's do some all-wheel drive pulls.
Hey y'all, I got everything back together. It is running right now. Just gonna let it warm up for a bit and maybe do a little test drive. I do have to clean the garage though, so I'm about to leave for work in just a few minutes, so I might not be able to do the first drive, but she's running, back on all fours again. Whiskus coupler and all, ready to rip in the future.